Netflix's new adult animated comedy Inside Job dropped a few days ago, and guess what? The series is fun as hell. Spoilers ahead for the first season of Inside Job, but nothing too plot intensive. I'm not going to spoil anything about the end of the season, so if you're on the fence about the show, this might be a good vid for you. Inside Job is the brainchild of Shion Takeuchi, who previously wrote on Regular Show, Gravity Falls, and Disenchantment. It basically asks, what if nearly every conspiracy was true, all at the same time, but also not how you imagined it all. Think workplace comedy, but the workplace just so happens to be the shadow government that secretly runs literally everything. It's like Comedy X-Files on acid.
Everybody's yelling about how the shadow government will collapse and we'll all be fired and everyone's gonna be mad at me.
It's the end of the world order!
Character-wise, Reagan and Brett really stood out to me, which makes sense given that they had the most development. Reagan, played by the excellent Lizzie Kaplan, is a genius who basically runs the company Cognito Inc. Unfortunately, she completely lacks the people skills for her inter-office relationships.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm practicing a hug that a normal person would do.
Which is where Brett, played by Clark Duke, comes in. He's a guy who is pretty much only people skills.
Alright, next up, I made a list of awesome nicknames for everyone, and I'd like to hear your feedback, starting with the one and only J Money!
The ensemble of characters has some really fun dynamics. JR is the CEO while Reagan waits to take over.
I do love money. Approved, fam.
You've got Gigi, the PR officer who helps manipulate the media.
I invented selfies to trick the country into surveilling themselves.
Glenn Dolphman is a hybrid human/dolphin who runs the militaristic aspects of Cognito Inc.
As the first volunteer for the Man-Dolphin Super Soldier Project, I gave my DNA for my country. I now have the strength and intelligence of a dolphin.
Dr. Andre is a biochemist who is just constantly blitzed on the wildest drugs you can imagine.
Come on, man, where's the action? I'm peeking and I don't want to miss this.
And of course, Magic Mike, a mushroom being from the Hollow Earth.
Wow. You've memorized a lot of dang cook routines.
There's also Rand Ridley, Reagan's father and the former CEO of Cognito Inc., and also the source of much of Reagan's trauma.
These sons of bitches got snipers trained on me for trying to tell you the truth. I love being right.
It's a pretty fun group, and the inter-office dynamics can be very funny. I do think that the show will benefit from a bit more development for these side characters moving forward, but hopefully there will be plenty of episodes to learn more about them. And while the show does have a fun array of characters, to me the absolute highlight is the world building. They jam-pack so much about this universe into these first 10 episodes, and some of it is simply background information and implications, which to me is the most fun because it gives room for speculation. A show about a shadow government and conspiracies is obviously going to need to do a lot of work to build out the world, so it makes sense that this is a major priority for the show, but they also just have so much fun with it that it's truly the highlight. While Cognito Inc. is the company that helps manipulate the government and run the world, they are merely the clients of a secret, more sinister organization of triangle-headed mystery beings. And no, before you comment, this isn't connected to Gravity Falls. Or, actually, do comment about it. Comments are good for the algorithm. But I think it's a smart choice to showcase multiple layers of control throughout this conspiracy-laden world. Who knows, maybe there's another, even more secret organization manipulating these guys. The possibilities are endless when you're conspiratorial, right? One of my favorite Inside Job conspiracies/pieces of world building is definitely the lizard people. The third episode of the series focuses on their subterranean world, and it's easily one of the funniest episodes. They do a lot of great work establishing the etiquette of their species, and also reveal tons of major celebrities and important figures are secretly reptoids, complete with great puns. Miley Cyrus, Bella Thorne, Snake Gyllenhaal.
Taylor Swift?
So the song Shake It Off was about how I shed my skin every 1,000 years.
The reptoids' priorities in the world are also absolutely hilarious. This was easily my biggest laugh of the season.
We even got K-Rool in Smash.
But I think my favorite detail is that in court they swear on a DVD copy of Godzilla 2000.
I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me Godzilla 2000.
I actually really like that Godzilla movie. It's a good one. One aspect of the reptoids culture that I am very eager to see played out more is their rivalry with the Atlanteans.
But not as bad as those idiot Atlanteans.
Fuck Atlantis!
And speaking of the Atlanteans Atlantis is probably my favorite example of great background world building and inside job. The show name drops Atlantis early on, revealing that it is in fact a real place in this universe, but we never actually go there in part 1. Throughout the series, we're drip-fed little bits of info about them, like this Reptoid rivalry, which, as I mentioned earlier, makes speculation a ton of fun. I loved the revelation that NASA has to constantly Photoshop Atlantis off the globe because it is massive and easily visible from space, and from the moon, which brings me to another piece of fun-ass world building. One of my favorite things about how they portray conspiracies in Inside Job is that they're never quite what the real-life conspiracists say they are. There's always an extra layer or twist on the classics. So in this universe, yeah, the moon landing was faked. Kubrick shot it on a set, but not because they never went to the moon. It's actually because the people we sent to the moon stayed there and refused to come back, forming a moon colony. You just add one extra simple conspiracy on top of the existing conspiracy, and bam, your show is clever as hell. And this is why I'm so stoked to see how else Inside Job builds out its world, because it feels like even when you can see a really exciting aspect of its world for them to expand on, they likely aren't going to do it in the ways you would expect. If I'm watching a show about conspiracies, it better keep me guessing. Even the ways they parody other media is injected with really smart lore. There's a great episode where they play on our current overload of 80s nostalgia a la Stranger Things, but they do it by explaining that the shadow government is using nostalgia-infused chemtrails to keep an entire town living as though it's the actual 1980s. Why, you ask?
We're trapping a town in the 80s to sell them recalled crap?
It's just fun, and the potential of the series has me really excited to see where it goes from here. They've continually talked about how the Earth is hollow, and that there is some seriously dangerous shit down there, so it would be a real missed opportunity if the crew never visited the Hollow Earth. I expect we'll see it in part 2 or beyond, especially since Mike is from Hollow Earth. In fact, the title sequence of the show even suggests that his species set apes on the evolutionary path to become humans, which is a pretty rad piece of lore. If they keep dropping these kind of lore bombs, I'm gonna keep tuning in. Overall, Inside Job Season 1 does a lot right. It kept me invested in its primary characters while building a really detailed and exciting world around them. And more than anything, it's got me stoked to see where the show can go from here. I do hope it dives a bit deeper into its supporting cast and even further into Reagan and Brett, who I quite like already. If they can do that while they continue to subvert my conspiratorial expectations, I think this is a series I could grow to absolutely love. I'm really excited to see what they do with part 2. Inside Job will have at least 10 more episodes, as it was initially picked up for 20, but further renewal will definitely depend on how well it does on Netflix. So if you dig the show, make sure to tell your friends and watch it and rewatch it. But what did you think of Inside Job? Did the world building captivate you as much as it did me? Who is your favorite character? What do you think is going to happen in part 2? Let me know below in the comments, and of course, stay tuned for more. Peace.
Johnny! Two Cellos!